All right, well, welcome. This is Flipping Out with Friends. And yeah, today I have an awesome opportunity to talk to the CEO of Pinball Brothers. It's Daniel, is it Jansson? Jansson? How do you say your last name?
Yeah, that's correct. In Swedish, it's Jansson, but it's
Jansson.
Jansson. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's fine.
wonderful. Well, yes, thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk here. There was a member of your team that reached out to me and said you were looking to do some interviews and wanted to talk to people about ABBA and everything that's going on at Pinball Brothers. So happy to have the conversation. But yeah, just really to start, I kind of want to backtrack way back to where did you step into this? Because I know Pinball Brothers kind of had an interesting history with Highway Pinball. Alien had its thing, and then it became Pinball Brothers. So, at what point did you get involved personally in this whole venture?
Yeah, that's a really long time ago now. But yes, I was I was obviously one of the investors in Highway back in the
Okay.
day. So that is and that was the start of Pinball Brothers, of course. So yeah, and that is back in 2015 or something like that.
Okay. And then I know Highway kind of fell apart, and Pinball Brothers technically bought the rights to Alien, and I think you technically bought the rights to the Queen license. Is that right at that time?
Yeah, the actually the Queen license was sort of um, what's the word? It's when it's running out of expired
Oh,
is the
expiring.
word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So technically it wasn't never bought, but it expired from because these licenses are you have them like for 2 or 3 years maximum, something like that. So yeah,
Okay.
but the Alien license was part of it. Yes.
Got it. So Alien was originally designed on the highway system or the highway pinball system, and then Pinball Brothers. It's the layout is very similar. There are some differences with the lack of the screen and whatnot, but you basically had to re-engineer the game in some capacity, right? Because I know you guys have your proprietary. It's the Razorback electronic system that was
Yeah.
built in house, and that's totally separate from Highway's system, right?
Yeah, exactly. They are very different, and Razorback has been built within Pinball Brothers. Yeah,
Okay.
so that was one of the reasons why it took quite long time for the relaunch of Alien,
Hmm.
basically, to
Yeah.
happen.
Because you had to re-engineer. I know, at least on the outside looking in, there was a lot of troubleshooting, there was a lot of hardware issues, and I think the redesign has improved a lot of that, to the point where I had the opportunity to stream Alien a few months back, and overall it was a very stable game. I know when it got here, it was new in box, and I was impressed when you open up the game. You guys have, it's very clear, very custom PCBs. Everything was very clearly labeled. Almost every coil or switch, or instead of soldered, it was just needed plugged right into the PCB. There were a few that had fallen out during the overseas transit, but to
Okay.
see that and poop, plop them back in, and boom, you're up and running. I was pretty impressed with that. But yeah, you're now, this is your third game. That was essentially your third game. What have you guys learned? Like, what has Pinball Brothers learned over this time on just what it's like to build pinball machines and try to build a reliable pinball machine? Um, yeah, what are you learning about all that?
Uh, yeah, you learn a lot, obviously,
Yeah,
along the
yeah.
way. But I can tell you one thing, and that is we, of course, we weren't the only one being affected by it, but it wasn't the best timing, I would say, to relaunch Alien in the middle of the pandemic. That was one of the sort of that was a real challenge, of course, because you start off with a new platform and you with all the supply chain issues that were at the time. So that didn't make it easy for sure. So but those things are easier now, of course. But apart from that, I think we have refined the system step by step, I would say. So it's a good system from the start, but there's always as with all systems, you have room for refinement,
Hmm.
and I think we have refined it for every game now a little bit. So
Okay.
it feels it feels great as it is, to be
So
honest.
if there was an alien owner that bought ABBA, would there be things on ABBA that would be or new, like improvements that you would see in the system? Anything obvious, like right off the bat, when it comes to just the overall, whether it's switches, coils, and anything cabinet?
Yeah, the system can make use of more coils, for instance. That is
Okay.
one thing, but for sure you wouldn't notice that in Alien because you only need the coils that are in the game. So, but it makes it easier for us to make new games with more coils in it. And obviously, you have flashers in the system now, which we didn't for Alien.
Hmm.
Even if you now have the possibility to get a flasher kit for the game. So, but there are a lot of small refinements. There are, I would say, not that noticeable, but they are making the system slightly better and more reliable. But overall, I don't think that there's nothing that makes the what's in Alien. Um, you don't need to have the new stuff
Sure. Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, Alien, I know. I have friends that stream Wild Dog Arcade. They've had an Alien for a long time. They've streamed it. They've actually made some instructional videos for you guys as well. And so I know I watched them do a video on installing the flasher kit, which is comical because I had an Alien and never realized it didn't have flash. Like it was that game was so. I had a ton of fun with Alien. The sound package on that game is incredible. So the overall immersion of the game, is a lot more dark and dreary and kind of scary. So I never realized there weren't crazy flashers in the game. But now there is kind of a flasher kit or a beacon kit, as well as there's a new topper for Alien. So
Yeah.
is this? I mean, Aliens had a few iterations now. You had the Ripley edition come out. Is there more planned for Alien? Are you going to continue to develop on Alien, or do you feel like you may finally be close to a finished product?
You never know, of course,
Yeah.
but um, I mean, we are on our third game now, and we are developing new games, obviously. But
Hmm.
somehow, I think the thrill for Alien is never ending. It's such a legendary theme, really. That I mean, we didn't know that we were coming back to make Ripley, for instance, but
Okay.
that kind of happened. So. Um, I guess I wouldn't say that we never go back again, but there are so many other themes, I
Sure.
guess, to work with. So, but there are themes obviously that are sort of related to Alien that could be a possibility.
Oh, okay. All right. And I know the Ripley edition kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, that was definitely a surprise to us being the pinball enthusiasts that when Alien first came out, it was, oh, they didn't get Ripley. Obviously there must have been an issue with the license. They didn't get Ripley. And then boom, Ripley edition. Not only is Ripley in the game, she's in the code, but here's a brand new art package. It's cheaper. It's more, it's a great bang for your buck kind of thing. Here's a new topper. I mean, you said that was a surprise to you, or how did that kind of fall in your lap that Ripley became available or was possible?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I shouldn't have said surprise, but because we always
Yeah.
everybody involved always wanted to have somehow get Ripley into the game because
Okay.
um, that was, I wouldn't say it's the holy grail, but it's kind of felt a little bit incomplete
Hmm.
without her, obviously. So it was a great opportunity. We did this extension with Disney, obviously, for the license, and that opened up the opportunity to make this new edition of the game. So that's basically it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. So you've you've been very successful with Alien. Obviously, I think you've technically been making it for years now. And it's definitely your most successful game. But then Queen came out. I have had a chance to play Queen. It was a fun game. But Queen, I know it kind of came out, like you said, during the pandemic. It wasn't the best time. And I don't know how many people have had a chance to play it. I mean, where are you guys at currently with Queen? Are you still developing it? Do you feel like it's code complete? I don't know. What are your overall thoughts on Queen and game number 2?
Yeah, it was a difficult start. That is no question about that. We had a really it was a long way to get Queen into production, obviously, and that was a pity because we also think it's a great game, but and I think the main problem is that a lot of people didn't have the chance yet to actually experience the game and play it. Um, we are we are actually at the point where we are considering a license extension for Queen. So
Okay.
it's a little bit up in the air where to go from here. But to be honest, but we there's definitely a few things that should be added in the code for the game.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. And I know at least talking to other pinball manufacturers, you're talking about licensing, you only get them for a few years. So you kind of have to, if you have another license in the pipeline, you got to keep moving, or else you're gonna lose that license. So I know ABBA was announced, and it was kind of a surprise of like, oh, I thought they were still cranking along on Queen, and boom, here comes ABBA. Was that kind of that situation of we got to go, or was there a set date? I think the launch date was on an anniversary, right? So was that was always planned as the launch date for ABBA, and was that like planned for a while now, or um, how long has that been
Um,
thought ahead, if that makes sense?
yeah, it makes sense. I wish I could say that it was planned for a long time, but it wasn't. But definitely, it was planned for quite some time, to be honest, because we knew that 2024 obviously was the big ABBA year, the
Okay.
big anniversary, and then of course you things sort of aligned a bit, you could say. Made that date, that actual date, possible. But if I understood your question correctly from the beginning, there was there's no sort of rush or due to licensing issues
Oh,
or
okay.
anything like that. So that wasn't the case. So
Well, maybe ask this. So I know Alien and Queen both came from Highway. Now you said you extended those, but at what point, where did ABBA come into play? Or where did you, like, how far were you in the middle of Queen and you're like, man, I'm really enjoying making a band pen. Let's get another band ready to go? Or how long have you known ABBA is going to be game 3, or that's the license you want to pursue?
yeah, it's a really good question. I have to to jog my memory a bit here, but yeah, it actually was like this that I got in contact with Ludwig Andersson, the son of Benny in ABBA, obviously, and we were in touch, and that is a number of years ago, but nothing really happened. So it took quite a long time until we spoke again, and then we things were more sort of, it was a better timing for us also, because when we spoke the first time, it was like it wasn't even close to talk about or think about a third game, honestly. So it's I would say that we didn't really knew that ABBA was going to be number 3 until maybe, for sure, maybe 2 years ago, something like that.
Okay. And then maybe just to explain, because I'm over here in North America, I'm much more familiar with the American manufacturers over here, the American teams that are over here. Um, Maybe just a brief overview of. I mean, you can start with yourself. Just Pinball Brothers as a whole. I know you guys aren't manufacturing on, like, you personally, as in Brothers, is not manufacturing your games. Those are being manufactured We talked about this a little bit before. So there's three entities here. There's Pinball Brothers, there's Pedretti Gaming, and there's Euro Pinball Corporation.
Yeah,
Is that right? So it's
correct.
so I think you had said that technically the factory is Euro Pinball Corporation. They are the factory, and Pedretti Gaming and Pinball Brothers are both utilizing them to manufacture your games. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, and it's jointly owned by Pedretti and Pinball Brothers also.
Got you. And then
So,
from a physical location standpoint, I see you're in an office. Is this the Pinball Brothers office, or is the manufacturing happening right below you, or where? Where's the locations for everybody involved?
yeah, we this is the headquarter of Pinball Brothers is in Sweden, and
Okay,
in Sweden we are designing and prototyping the
gotcha.
games, and then all the manufacturing is happening in Italy,
Italy,
which is
right?
where Euro Pinball Corp is located, and Pedretti happens to be located at the same place as Euro Pinball, quite
Wonderful.
conveniently. So yeah.
Okay. And then when you just talk about your team there in the office, so you're the CEO. You clearly do everything, right? I mean, maybe start with that. What's your day to day as a CEO of a pinball company? What would you say is the majority of your troubleshooting or I don't know, what keeps you up at night, that kind of thing? Yeah. Yeah.
What makes you think that we have troubleshooting? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's a very good question. What am I doing? I mean, it's actually a bit like you said in the beginning there. It's a bit of everything.
Yep.
I think that is the situation for most pinball manufacturers that are a bit smaller than Stern, perhaps.
Sure.
I guess they might have it a little bit different, but so yeah, when you work at Pinball Brothers, you typically have a number of roles, I would say. So, but that said, I think there are a lot of. I mean, everybody has their main skill, obviously. So there are people for manufacturing and people for prototyping, people for coding and animation and sound and everything. So yeah, but my days are a bit filled with everything. I would say it can be sort of it could be licensing, it could be administration, it could be even some coding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a little bit a little bit of everything, depending on what the situation is. Obviously, the development projects are we. I mean, we only have one development project ongoing at the time, so
Okay.
it's that. Apart from now, I would say, because obviously we are working very closely together with European Ball Corp on and Pedretti on the remakes also. So we are kind of utilizing all the resources we have in the complete. We see it as it's different. It's a number of different companies, but it's one group of companies, you could say. So
So did you like Funhouse, you've had involvement in Funhouse in some capacity, or you've helped with that project in some
we
capacity, or no?
we are yeah, we are. I mean, I think we can see more of that the further we get. But as it has been, I should say that the development projects has been obviously kind of separated
Okay. Yeah.
up until now. Yeah,
Sure. So
and
just because you said you a little bit of accounting, a little bit of phone call, a little bit of coding, what did you do before this? What was your role before you got involved in Pinball Brothers? What was your job before that?
yeah, I was actually I've been running a software company for almost 20 years. So that is my background is a system developer. So it's not that
Yeah.
it's quite um, natural, I would say.
Okay.
That is where
Sure.
I think I can contribute in the best way.
Okay.
apart from doing the administration and licensing and other stuff, I guess, in the company.
So what as a pinball machine, do you think do the majority of the challenges, do you think they come from the hardware or the software side of the pinball machine? Because if one of them, it doesn't matter if your game shoots amazing, if the game's going to crash over and over again or has code that's boring,
Yeah,
how do you find that balance, or how hard is that for you?
I honestly believe that you can. I mean, the geometry and how a game shoots is obviously very important for the feeling. But
Hmm.
in my view, you could actually take almost any layout and make it into a great game if you do a good enough software, which is
Sure.
rewarding and so. But that doesn't mean that you can do that. Take any
Yeah.
layout. You
Yeah.
obviously have to work with that part also. But uh, I think that the development of pinball machines has become, at least for us, and I would think the others are having the same view, that you can reuse more parts, obviously, on the hardware side than you can do, not the main toys and stuff like that, but you
Hmm.
do, if you get the platform ready in place and it's stable and yeah, then it's more about refinements for next game and next game. When it comes to the software side, you obviously have, with all the full HD screens today and all this amazing sound in the game, sound capabilities in the games, you really have to work with the content in the game, I think. So
Yeah.
so if I have to say something, I think the software side is the challenge, to be honest,
Nice.
to make a
Nice. Coming
great
from the
game.
software guy, there's somebody somewhere is the hardware guy, and he's disagreeing with you, but
Yeah,
no,
I know.
I just but that's what I love. That's what I love about pinball, is it's that perfect mesh of, it's a mechanical game,
Yeah, yeah.
but yet the software, the sounds, the lights, the code, that's what keeps drawing you back in. So I just think it's a perfect blend. But yeah, so you have ABBA. You're like, okay, we're doing this. So describe your team. I don't. I'm sorry, but I don't recognize any of the names. I'm just not familiar with them. So when it comes to designing the game, and where did you start? Who was designing the white wood, or how many people were in the room when you started to design the layout for ABBA?
Yeah, the design for the first layout of ABBA, I would say the base for ABBA was made by Alexander Spoor, which is one of the shareholders in Pinball Brothers. And then it sort of evolved into a teamwork, really.
Okay.
So I would say that between maybe five to seven people have been involved in the iterations, because that is really what it is.
Hmm.
You come up with a base design, and then you have to test it, and then you have to refine it, and you test it again, and you refine it, and you test it again, and so on. So there are multiple iterations, obviously, and that has been a real teamwork to get to the point where we are now. And we are really happy with the layout of the game, how it flows, and there are hard shots and easier shots in the game, and quite a lot of big number of shots, I would say. So
Nice.
that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah, and I know I've asked a few designers this, because sometimes they're given a theme where there's an obvious toy. There's an obvious, like, oh, um, this. My example is like Godzilla. Even though I've interviewed Keith Elwin, he's brilliant what he can do, but in his mind, he's like, I have to have a building that you can break, and so immediately you start thinking about what that mech would be, and then you got to figure out where that's going to go on the playfield. So when I first heard of ABBA, I'm like, when I think of ABBA, there isn't any immediate toy that pops into my head, but you guys have this really intricate helicopter ball lock toy. How early in the design of the game did that come into play, or when did you think of that?
that was actually very early. I would say it's been there from the beginning. So
Okay.
it's it was they have this helicopter is actually quite famous in the ABBA world. You have the ABBA museum in Stockholm, and they actually have the helicopter in there. So
Hmm.
it's kind of if you're ABBA fan, it's more of an obvious toy, I would say, but
Okay.
maybe not in a pinball machine. I don't know, but still, yeah, it was thought of early on, and it's actually came out great. I think when I saw it the first time, the first prototype physically, I held it in my hands. It was kind of huge. So I actually thought this is never going to work in a pinball machine, but when you actually put it in the game, it fitted perfectly. So I think I think we are very happy with that
Nice.
decision.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw it, and you had a really good teaser video of just showing it was a black silhouetted, shadowed kind of. It was clear, this is some sort of intricate ball locking mechanism, and I think having something fun mechanically on the playfield that you can interact with is pretty important in pinball. Um, is there anything else mechanically on the game that you feel like maybe that's what's the most mechanically or where's the mechanical satisfaction? What's the most or kinetic satisfaction? What's the most enjoyable shot in your mind when you play ABBA? Or what do you like to interact with? Yeah.
I actually think that the left ramp is really nice. It's at the top of the ramp
Like a
you have
whirlpool.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you have a magnet in the back, um, and when you actually hit that shot, it's a skill shot actually also, and it's used in the game in the various places. That is really satisfying. I think it's a great. It's an easy shot, but it's really nice when the ball gets sucked to the back wall of the game there.
Nice.
So yeah,
And that's so you have your helicopter and that's got to go somewhere. But then had you already kind of designed a layout and you just fit the helicopter into the layout, or did you start with the helicopter and then you started trying to figure out the shots around it? Is sometimes it's one or the other.
yeah. But I think that the helicopter was obviously, since that was thought of from the very beginning. I would say that it didn't feel that way, but maybe the rest was kind of developed around it. But also, there was actually quite we did have some input that was quite important from Ludwig, actually, because
Okay.
since he's the sort of he's the guy who came up with the idea of having an ABBA pinball in the first place, and he was actually playing pinball in the 90s, like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
And he also had a favorite game that a lot of people know, obviously, that is Medieval Madness.
Oh yeah.
And if you look at the layout of ABBA, you can clearly see that the two ramps are a little bit influenced by that. It's not that they are extremely
Yeah. Yeah.
similar,
Yeah.
but yeah. So that was also kind of in the basic layout, I would say. So the helicopter and the ramps are I
Yeah.
would say the yeah, that's the base, I think.
But you have a third flipper. Medieval Madness doesn't have that. You have a third. You have a
Yeah,
third flipper. The upper flipper is that shot. Is that a repeatable loop, or is it just a
no,
hit to a stand up kind of thing?
yeah, it's a hit to
Okay.
a stand up target. And maybe some people will be frustrated by that, but we think it's a great shot, actually, especially if you do a combo in the right orbit and it comes all the way down to the upper
Yep.
flipper. You can hit that because you have a spinner. Also, you have a spinner in that inner loop, so you have two spinners in that combo,
Nice.
and then you have some nice reward when you hit that upper target. So it's
Yeah.
I think the combo is a really nice feature of the game.
Awesome. And so you had mentioned the left ramp, the whirlpool. I'm assuming Whitewood number one, that was just a ramp, but somebody had the idea of let's put the funnel or the whirlpool up there, and if we're going to add that, let's add a magnet. Taking it a step further. Did that happen later on in the process, or was that early on as well?
It's actually Alexander's design from the beginning was kind of is not that far away from the end result in
Nice.
terms of when it comes to the big um, things in the layout. But as always, I think you when you do the first whitewood, you realize that things aren't working the way you thought they should, or they are not as fun as you thought they would be, and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
um, we did change quite a lot, but still the design is there from the start. I would say
Nice.
the sort of base the main shots to some degree.
Cool.
We actually did have an idea of uh, combining the layout with some to have some classic flavor into it, if you like, with a saucer at the top. There is a saucer at the top, obviously, that feeds the helicopter. But the idea from the very beginning was to actually you should be able to use the saucer at the top of the game, as in the old value games from
Yeah.
the 80s.
So like at
So,
the
but
orbits and it kind of stop up there in the saucer kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But that didn't work out when in playtesting. So we had to rethink. And I think the solution now is great, actually. So
Yeah. So you get a working whitewood. You're feeling pretty confident on it, and then now it's time for your favorite part, right? The software to come in. So you've got, I'm assuming, an amazing light show. You could do whatever you want. I mean, ABBA is a very loud band, so you got a great light show that you got to build in there. You have a lot of music that you have access to, and then you have to music pins always seem to be very challenging on trying to find a structure like a rules but what kind of modes, how do you want to handle this? So the initial brainstorming that you did on the code, who would you say is the lead software designer of this game, or whose vision is it for the rules and code? Who kind of put all that together?
I would say it's the same team actually that did the layout, the physical layout of the game. So
Okay.
we the, the the good thing about this game, I think, is that we obviously did Queen, and
Hmm.
that was obviously a music pin,
Yeah.
and but that was so heavily influenced by the fact that we had the live performances of Queen in there, and you can't really go away from that. If you have that, you have to do the most of that, and I think those performances are amazing, and I think Queen is amazing as a band, especially live. So, but that was all about the music. In ABBA, we actually did. We had another opportunity, which is a great thing. We actually had the started the discussion about ABBA Voyage
Hmm.
at some point, and that is a show in London, obviously, with ABBA performing as avatars,
Yeah.
and they are not just performing. There is also some other um, parts of that show that are animated movies, and we kind of thought that maybe we can do something about this here, and
Hmm.
we came up with the idea that, so basically you can say the bottom line of this is that you actually have like you can see the ABBA pinball as two different things. Actually, you can step up to the game and you can play it as a usual music pin if you are into ABBA, or you can look at the story in the game, and that is not so much about ABBA, even if the goal of the game is to actually make the band members into avatars and make them
Avatars. Yeah.
immortal. Yeah, so that is the thing. So you are actually chasing the to complete the medallion of power in the game. and you get a piece of the medallion for each part of the game that you succeeds with. But you don't really, if you're not into that story, you can just enjoy it as an music pin. So
Sure.
it's a little bit more to it than just being a music pin.
Yeah, no,
And
that's great.
we thought that idea was a good thing. So
Um, is, is there any particular mode then that you are really proud of, or you think is a really fun mode to play, like creative in either the shots you have to hit or the order? I think it's, it's amazing what these pinball designers can do with just a ball and shots, and be creative on different modes that have character and life and fun challenges. So yeah, any particular mode that stands out to you in ABBA that you really enjoy playing?
um, I actually like most of the modes in the game, but
Good. Yeah.
I do, yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah.
No, but I think that what stands out to me is actually I like the maybe it's not the right word, but I can't find it. The drama, a little bit of the drama when you actually qualify. We call them the challenge modes.
Okay.
When you get to the challenge modes, you have the opportunity of getting a piece of the medallion, and that actually it is like this, that you when you reach that point, you start challenge mode, you will get the piece of the medallion, but the whole mode is a timed mode where it's a sort of a victory mode, you could say. So you can't
Okay.
really, you can just get less or more points at that part, but at that point. But yeah, I like the drama when you qualify the challenge mode, and you have to hit the left ramp, and the ball gets stuck in the magnet, and then there's an intro from the animated movies from Voyage, and when the main character falls into the water, that is exactly when the ball is dropped from the magnet.
Oh,
There's
nice.
a little bit of a choreography, if you like. So
Yeah.
that I like that part of the game, really.
Honestly, I think the more that I'm in pinball, the more that choreography and sound really can take a good game to an amazing game. I mean, that's really what brings you into the experience, because like what you just said, hitting the left ramp and getting the ball stuck, that probably happens a lot during the game, but it feels totally different in that moment because of the show that's being displayed, or the lights probably pointing you in that, or the music making it a little more intense.
Hmm.
I think that's huge. Who is doing your sound? Because I know, what was it? Was it David Thiel that did the sound for Alien, and he just was incredible? Who's doing your sound package for ABBA?
Yeah, that is actually another legend, I would say, because David is obviously a huge pinball legend, and he did Alien, and he also did Queen.
Nice.
But but for ABBA, we work with Olof Gustafsson, who is a Swedish guy. He is actually one of the founders of Digital Illusions, the software company back in the 90s, who got famous for making three pinball games for the Commodore Amiga at the time,
Oh,
which
okay.
is Pinball Dreams, Pinball Fantasies, and Pinball Illusions. And he's been in the gaming industry ever since, and been involved in a lot of big titles. But he always had this dream to actually do the sound for a physical, real pinball machine at some point in his life.
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
And as it happened, he could his dream came true actually with ABBA, which is quite a coincidence, but it was quite nice that he. I mean, he's. I really like the sounds. It's great. It's great working with Olof. It's
That's awesome.
it's it's very different sounds from. I mean, Alien
Yeah, yeah.
is just amazing. I think everybody thinks that. So it's but yeah, this is it's always David always told me that when we were talking about him joining to work with on Queen, he actually, I don't know if he wants me to say this, but he hesitated a bit because he said to me that he's not really. He thinks that working with music pins is very hard because
Yeah.
the sound is already there to some
Yeah.
extent. But he did it amazingly there as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
My only complaint with Alien was I was able to figure it out. Whenever I stream a game, I try to do correct direct capture of the video, and then I try to do correct direct capture of the audio, just to get the best video and audio experience for whoever's watching the stream. I could not figure out how to do direct capture with your current setup, the way that the screen is kind of mounted to the computer, trying to get in there. It's not HDMI. I couldn't do that, but and then even the audio, I ended up having to disconnect the speakers and then tap into that. But being able to do that, tapping into the audio and pulling that into the stream, and then when I stream, I wear headphones. Being able to hear every single little bit of audio that David Thiel had put into Alien, just it was incredible. So the best suggestion I would have for you is develop a headphone kit or some adapter for your games,
yeah,
so that all of your users, Alien and beyond, can hear your game as clear as possible. So I don't know if that's in the works, but I would highly encourage it, because man, the audio was so good.
yeah, yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
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 Oh, we are on it. I can tell you that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, yeah, ABBA, where are we at with manufacturing? How soon? I mean, I'm over here in the States, which creates challenges on how soon the games will get here. Where are we at? We're recording this on May 21st. So, how soon do you think buyers in North America will be able to see or get their ABBA game?
We are actually production is started, so it's they are being assembled. It's not. We hope to, or we the first games should ship second half of June. That is
Okay.
the yeah. What I don't know is exactly where right now,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
because I don't have the schedule here. But it's, I mean, it's fair to say, it's safe to say that the first games should definitely be um, in North America in I would say July, then something like
Okay.
that. Yeah,
Nice. And I'm hoping, I know Zach with Flipping Out, he is a distributor for you guys. So I know he will be getting some games, and hopefully I'll have a chance to stream one and play that for everyone. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not an ABBA fan. I recognize so much of their music. That's the thing that, it's one of those bands. Elton John was similar. Like, I don't ever go to do something and think I want to turn on ABBA or I want to turn on Elton John. But yet when you hear it, you know all the songs. So I have no doubt that we will enjoy ourselves playing that game. And then it sounds like you have some very interesting modes in there with this idea of assembling avatars. And as long as it's a fun layout that's fun to shoot, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be really, really a good time. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Looking ahead, are you guys already looking ahead at game 4, game 5? I mean, is there? You're saying it kind of sounds like you and Pedretti are going to be doing a little more together. I mean, what's the game, or what's the thought moving forward with just pinball?
yeah. There are a lot of plans, I would say. So yes, we are definitely looking ahead for Game 4 and Game 5, and there will be um, safe to say that there will be more remakes also.
Okay.
So that's yeah. We I can't really go into the details too much about
No, totally
anything,
fine. Yeah.
but um, yeah, we projects are ongoing, I would say,
Wonderful.
in yeah, multiple projects. So that's
S-
good.
s- So, I mean, ABBA was released first, but then Pedretti has announced Funhouse. Funhouse is coming out. There's a standard edition, an LE edition. It's a whole new remake, but by Pedretti Games. And I remember seeing that, and a lot of people, some people even asked me, like, wait, does that mean are they building both? Like, who's this assembly line? so the Euro Pinball Corp, is that the plan? This one line's going to be building Funhouse, the other's going to be building ABBA. I mean, there's no. I'm assuming you guys just work well together, or there's no way that's going to compete or go in shifts or anything like that. That's always been the
Not,
plan, or what?
yeah. That's the plan. I mean, we jointly own the European Ball factory, so
Hmm.
it's no problem at all. It's no competing. I would say it's just it's a really it's a kind of unique situation, a good situation, I would say. So yeah, the one line will be building Pinball Brothers games, and one line will build Funhouse, as you say. So it's nothing. It's nothing more than that, I guess. So yeah,
Nice. And I know just so much of manufacturing with pinball is in North America. So I know we're spoiled where if we need a part, if we need whatever, it's right here. Is there, as more European pinball manufacturing is happening, do you guys have any plans on, I don't know, strengthening the US support side? Do you have anybody that works in the US that does support, whether it's software or hardware, or um, like how
yeah,
easy is it to get parts reliable for that kind of thing?
yeah. Sure, it's good you mentioned it. We do have obviously PB USA in Pennsylvania, and that is run by Sean Forsyth, and
Okay.
he's also one of the tech support guys. So it's very easy to get spare parts, buy add-ons, and obviously you can also get it from all the distributors. I think we have. I hope I'm right when I say we have 14 or 15 distributors around US right now. But if you don't have a distributor nearby, you can always turn to PBUSA as another second option.
Hmm.
Um, so and yeah, we are looking forward to increase the number of parts available, and strengthening the support as we go.
Wonderful.
So
That's the
yeah,
I think that's the biggest fear of any buying any pinball machine is the fact that it would somehow break and you're not going to be able to fix it. And so, there's a few companies, Stern being one, that's been around so long, you feel confident in being able to buy those things long term, or even some of the Bally Williams that have been out. And not only are the original parts still somewhat available, but there's so many remade parts. So I think that's always, you guys have established yourself enough at this point. You're on game 3. It's not like you've changed. You're still on the same system. So you're reiterating, you're making it better, you're making it stronger. So that's good to give the buyer confidence that you'll be able to buy parts and support your system long term. But yeah, I knew I wanted to talk to you, kind of start to finish. Good introduction of who you are, and I mean, is there anything else that you'd like to just tell the pinball listeners on I don't know what you're excited about or what you're all about, or anything else I didn't mention that you want to dive into here real quick?
well, there's a lot of things to talk about, but I can just say that. As you mentioned before about ABBA, I think that it's not the theme for everyone, but I really think that people should try the game if they get the chance to play it, because as I mentioned before, it's a lot more into it than just being a music pin. So that's yeah,
No,
that's one
yeah.
thing I would like to add. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's I'm all for it. I know Foo Fighters did something similar where it's not just a Foo Fighters pin; it's actually like a totally alien invasion mode based, extreme kind of thing. So it's give people options, and yeah, you may end up making somebody a huge ABBA fan just because they love playing your game as much as they do. So, well, that's awesome. But hey, I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your transparency and your openness and honesty to talk. If the listeners had any questions for you, is there an easy way to reach you? Or I mean, they can obviously put them in the comments and YouTube, and I can try to forward any of those on. But what would be the best way to get a hold of you or somebody at Pinball Brothers if they had more questions?
I think the best way would be they can always send me an email, daniel@pinballbrothers.com,
Okay.
or they can. I think they also should talk to Sean. Obviously, I think they should reach out to PBUSA, the PBUSAsales.com, because that is. I think. As I said before, as we go, we are looking to increase the support and the number of parts that we have to offer. So yeah, we are just happy if people want to talk to us, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so don't be afraid reaching out.
Wonderful.
We are there for you. Yeah,
Awesome. Or reach out to Zach at Flipping Out. I know he's selling them, and he's
yeah.
supported many aliens and queens. So I know they're between him and Greg, they can help you as well. But awesome. Well, Daniel, it was great meeting you. Great talking to you. I appreciate you setting some time away, setting some time aside to have this conversation. And
Thank you for having me.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. We'll have to talk again sometime soon.
yeah, sure. Looking
All right.
forward to it. Thank
See ya.
you.
Yep. Bye.